Thanks everyone for joining this session. I'd like to especially welcome and introduce Cedrick and Faizal, both from AI project partners, based out of the US. Faizal, as many of our partners, many of the founders who are joining the sessions today, will actually be joining from different parts of the world. Many of them are joining from Africa, Nigeria, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Kenya. Some of them also joining from the UK. Others joining from the US, from Canada as well, because we have them spread out from different parts of the world. And these are founders who are actually building both for the African and the GCC region. So for the founders, I'd like to tell you a bit about Cedrick. Of course, once when the session starts properly, they'll be able to introduce themselves. But it is also nice for me to mention that Cedrick has been in this game for 2 decades, and even more than 2 decades, 2 decades plus now, even before the advent of AI, automating and doing, all sorts for companies like Microsoft, AT&T, Salesforce, T-Mobile. I can just go on and on like that. So you're in good hands. And then Faizal too is, AWS cloud, expert and all that. So you're very much in good hands. So Faizal, please, Cedrick, feel free to allow our founders to build relationships with you. That's the essence of this session and this cohort, really, so that even beyond the cohort, founders can get to know you better, relate with you, and all of that. So maybe for the end of the session, please feel free to share how people can connect with you, because I might be going in and out of the session and all that. But then, so I look forward to a great session. Of course, there'll be question and answers, and all that. So over to you, Cedrick and Faizal. Thank you for coming and thank you for your time.
Appreciate it, Binga. Thank you very much for the awesome introduction. And good morning, everybody. Wherever you're joining from today, sounds like we're across the world here. Welcome, and thanks to the 50 Points team for bringing this group together virtually. As Binga mentioned, I'm Dr. Cedrick Holmes. I work at the intersection of enterprise systems and organizational strategy, and I make complex things really actually function at scale. And I'm here with my partner, Faiz. Faiz, if you can just kind of quickly say hello, and I know we'll get into a more detailed introduction shortly, but if you want to just say hello quickly.
Sure. Hello to everyone. Wonderful to be here. Looking forward to sharing our experiences to help you also excel forward in whatever you're planning to do. We'll get into the introductions in a second.
Yeah, awesome. So with all of that said, here's the honest reason we're both in front of you today. We've watched founders with great products, great teams, real funding fail. And not because the market wasn't there, not because they didn't work hard enough, but because the systems underneath the business could not hold the weight. Today, we're going to talk about 3 things: what enterprise infrastructure actually means for an early stage company, the decisions that separate startups that scale from startups that stall, and practical steps you can take to start trying to prevent this ASAP. Infrastructure isn't a back office conversation. It's a survival conversation, and the founders who treat it that way are the ones who are still standing 2 years from now. And I'm sure all of you want to be there. So let's get into it with that said. We have another admission coming in here. Give me a second. All right, I think we're good there. Okay, before I go too far, does everyone see the presentation? Can everyone see that? Yes? Yes, okay, got 1 thumbs up there, so. All right, So let me tell you who's behind this. Again, I'm Dr. Cedrick Holmes, founder and CEO of AI Project Partners. I bring 25 years of enterprise delivery, including time at Deloitte Digital, Salesforce as a senior delivery manager. Got another admission here, sorry.
Sorry, I'll take care of that.
Okay, awesome, thank you. As a senior delivery manager working with clients like Google, T-Mobile, AT&T. I own 8 Salesforce certifications, a PMP. My doctorate is in strategic leadership. And right now, I'm also, in addition to AI Project Partners, I'm serving as a senior director of program management at a national nonprofit by the name of PanCAN, which is the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network here in the US. So I know how large organizations actually get things done and where they get stuck. And then with that said, my co-founder and CTO is Faizal. Faizal, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hey, everyone. My name is Faizal Khan, the co-founder and CTO for AI Project Partners. I've been in the IT industry similar to Cedric for the last 2 decades. I specialize mostly on the cloud, especially AWS, and with the several years that I've been working with AWS and all of the implementations, they do give out some designations called AWS Hero. My specialty is in cloud architecture and enterprise scaling. So all of your infrastructure and your production deployments, your entire full stack engineering end to end. And of course, this is across many different industries, right? We don't just talk about it, we build stuff that others only design. So there's a lot more to discuss, and I'll just hand it over to Cedric to start off.
Yeah, thanks, Faiz. And together we cover both sides of the equation, as you can see, which is strategy and execution. And that's not a common pairing a lot of the times. And that's exactly why we've been working together well over the last couple of years. So everyone in this room has seen a great idea die, and we tell ourselves it was timing or market fit or the wrong hire, but the data tells a different story. 70% of startups fail because of operational problems, not the product. The product worked, the system underneath it didn't. And this gets even sharper when you layer in AI. 80%, 85% of AI pilots never make it to production, not because the model was wrong, but because the infrastructure wasn't there to support it. And then you hit growth. 60% of scaling companies will smash into a systems wall somewhere between 1 and 5 million ARR, right when the momentum should be actually compounding, which of course becomes disheartening because of, you expect everything to go the way you want, and then you hit that wall. And then part of that keeps, the part that keeps me up at night is actually fewer than 10% of founders can't even define what using AI actually means, right? Like, we all know we want to do something, but a lot of founders don't necessarily understand what they're actually trying to do. The infrastructure problem is invisible really until the day it stops you cold. So again, that's what we're here to help with. So let me be direct with you about what we mean by enterprise software, because this is not about buying shiny tools. We're talking about the infrastructure required to get you where you need to go. Your CRM is how revenue becomes visible. Without it, your sales team is guessing. These are the Salesforces, the Dynamics, and the HubSpots of the world. And then you also have very feature-rich yet low-cost options like Zoho, for example. Maybe some of you are familiar with that tool. Your ERP connects finance and operations. Without that, your numbers are always stale by the time anyone sees them. This is your Dynamics Business Central and NetSuite systems, if you're familiar. And then integration, it's what makes all of your systems actually talk to each other, because right now every team is probably working off of different data and no one wants to admit that. You solve that by using tools like Zapier or MuleSoft or Dell Boomi or our tool by the name of AIX Data. We have an offering that is significantly cheaper than all of those, but then gets you that integration that you actually need. And then finally, business intelligence turns that data into decisions you can actually defend in a boardroom. Instead of running on your gut feel. This is your Power BI, Tableau, or as mentioned before, our tool, which is the AIX BI offering that we've built also. And then finally, automation. That's how you stop hiring people to do the things the software should handle. This is where AI comes in, especially these days. The pattern on every line is the same. Without this, something breaks, something slows, or something costs you more than it should. And that's why we call it survival infrastructure and not a nice to have. We really believe that this is something that you need to have for success of your company. So every failed AI project we've ever autopsied has had the same root cause. They skipped the boring stuff and went straight to the exciting stuff. Our approach has 4 steps. We stabilize, integrate, automate, and then innovate. In that order, always. We never change it. Step 1 is the one that no one wants to do. You want to fix your broken processes, clean up your data, establish clear ownership. And it's unglamorous. We understand that, but it's everything. Step 2, you connect your systems, your CRM, your ERP, and your data layer. AI can't learn from data it cannot see. So you have to make sure that that happens. Step 3, you automate the high frequency, low judgment work first. Pick something that's measurable, prove the ROI on it, and then you can expand, right? You're actually proving out the proof of concept in that situation. And then step 4, you do layer on your AI on top of that. It's a stable foundation at that point. And that's where the real competitive leverage actually lives when you're talking about AI at that point. And then the hard truth, most of the founders, and I'm not making any assumptions, but most of the founders in this room, if you're looking at AI, are probably trying to start at step 4 first. If not, I applaud you, but if you are, you're not alone. This is the way that it usually works. And that's exactly why AI projects fail, or any project really, even if we're not talking about AI. If you try to start at that 4th step, you're setting yourself up for failure. So to clarify, we're not a consulting firm. We're not a consulting shop. We're with a pitch deck and a promise. We're a software company. We have 4 live products, as mentioned. We started to talk about some of them earlier. Atma, which is our flagship product, is our project intelligence engine. It reads a statement of work and builds the entire project plan automatically. We've deployed that at a company by the name of Frasco Investigative Services, and we've cut delivery time down from 10 weeks to 6 with that tool. Our AIX call handles voice AI for revenue teams. So your CRM, for example, if you need call routing or transcription or CRM sync, we have that live with a client by the name of 7 Hair Care and Simply Organic. As mentioned, our AIX data, it cleans, connects, and governs data across Salesforce, Zoho, Dynamics, NetSuite, wherever your data lives. Simple use case with 7 Hair Care, for example, they actually use Klaviyo for their marketing stuff. And then every new lead that lands in the Klaviyo ends up in HubSpot, and they actually use our tool for that. And then our AIX BI sits on top of AI-driven dashboards using natural language. Elevated Beauty Group uses that, running 11 live dashboards, I believe, right now, and growing. I'm talking to them daily about the next thing that they want to do, whether it's driven by some sales meeting or some, the VC new information. We're building all of that stuff in our dashboard tool. So we have 4 products with real clients, real results, and this is what integration first AI actually looks like in production. So one thing we hear constantly from founders is we're already locked into a system, and our answer is great, so are we. We don't come in and tell you to rip and replace what you have. We work inside whatever stack you already are running. For example, Salesforce, HubSpot, NetSuite, Microsoft Dynamics, SAP, it doesn't matter. If your team lives in one of those systems, we meet you there. Same goes for integration and data, whether you're using Celigo, MuleSoft, or you've got a custom API holding everything together with Tape and Hope as an example. We can work with it. And on the BI side, Power BI, Tableau, Snowflake, we build on top of that. If you aren't interested in using our tool, we can build on top of that and giving your team full visibility into whatever you want them to see. The bottom line is we're platform agnostic. We're not selling you a product. We're solving your problem inside the environment you're already in, and that's a meaningful difference, right? Because then we don't have to rip you out of what you're already comfortable with. So giving you something you can actually use on Monday mornings, 3 moves, 90 days, any stage, any funding level. I think this would work for you. The first 30 days, stop guessing, map every tool you're running. Where does your data live? Where does it break? What are your people doing manually that a system should be doing that you can't fix? You can't fix what you cannot see. So that's what this activity is. We also help with these audits if you're interested. Days 31 to 60. Make sure your stack talks, even if you aren't doing it already. And then whether it's your CRM, your ERP, your data layer, this needs to be connected before you layer on any intelligence, any AI on top of that, right? Silos kill AI projects before they even start, because you realize when you start looking at it that you can't get to the other data that will intelligently mix with the other data. So if it's not talking, you can't get there. And then days 61 to 90, pick one thing. Your highest frequency, lowest judgment task, automated from end to end, measure the return. And that proof point is what funds the next phase and builds internal belief and gets you some confidence going, right? So something to think about there. So with the next slide here, this is what production AI actually looks like under the hood. We have 6 layers, real infrastructure, real governance, and I'll let Faiz talk through the rest of it here.
So thank you, Cedric, for that. So you heard about the business side of scaling with AI. Now let's look at what production AI actually looks like, right? So most people think that AI is just a model, but in production, the model is usually kind of the smallest part of the system, right? What you see in demos online are just like one prompt, one response, one workflow. But production AI is everything that's kind of required to make that reliable, secure, scalable, and trustworthy for a real business, right? So there are 6 layers to making that work. On your screen, you will see them layered according to your implementation. So you would normally do your layer 1 infrastructure, then your layer 2. But let me talk about it in terms of the importance. So layers 3, 4, and 5 are the most important ones. So let's start with the most important layer, which is the data layer, right? So this is the foundation beneath everything else, ensuring that you have clean data, making sure your data is governed properly, making sure you have unified data. And every AI system eventually kind of becomes a data quality problem, right? And not necessarily a model problem. If your systems kind of disagree, if your records are incomplete, your ownership is not clear, your AI is going to amplify those problems at machine speed, right? So garbage in usually means garbage out, but now it's just so much more faster and more confident in giving you that garbage. So you need to make sure your data is properly set up. And the next layer is your integration layer, right? So this is where your APIs, your webhooks, your streams, your PaaS connectors, and all of these things live. This is the plumbing that nobody really wants to budget for, but it's essentially the layer that every successful deployment really depends on, right? And AI only becomes useful when it can interact with other systems that your business already runs on, right? Things like your CRM, your ERPs, your support systems, your documents, your identity systems, or any other workflows that you might have. So if your AI systems cannot communicate, obviously your AI is not going to be able to operate, right? And then comes the AI layer itself. Now, this is where most of the founders like yourself are going to focus all of your energy on, things like which are the best models and how do you get your fine tuning in and your prompt engineering and all of the agents that you're going to use, right? But often in real deployments, this is the easiest layer that you can replace because models will become, they will improve every few months. But what really survives is your operational architecture around these AI models, right? So companies that are winning with AI are not the ones with the fanciest prompts, but they are the ones with the best systems that are around the model itself, right? So then we move to the application layer. Now, this is where this is kind of the only layer where your users actually experience your application, the interface that you have, the workflows that you have set up, the automations that you have created, your approval flows and all of that. But remember that nobody actually buys AI, they actually buy things like, better support resolution, faster onboarding, things like reducing their operational cost and making better decisions. So they're not buying a model, they're not buying an AI, they're buying a solution that can fix their problem. Don't ever forget that. So this application layer is where your AI kind of becomes your business value that you're able to deliver. Um, Now, let me talk about a layer that almost all startups usually ignore until enterprise customers start asking you very difficult questions, and that's the governance layer. Things like who approved these outputs, right? And you know, why did the model make that decision that it did, and are you able to audit it? Can you monitor the hallucinations in your model? Are you able to revoke access when there is an issue? And basically who owns any kind of failure that happens with this AI models that you put out. If you cannot answer these questions, you're not really deploying AI, you're just running an experiment, right? So governance is very, very important as well. And of course, underneath all of it, you have your infrastructure layer. This can be any provider, but because I'm an AWS hero, I'm choosing AWS, obviously. This is not just hosting. This is where you have your reliability, your scaling, your cost optimization, observability tools. And AWS does provide you a lot of tools to kind of build on top of AI. So your goal is not necessarily to just, kind of launch your infrastructure and survive your launch day. It is to make sure that you survive successfully. So to wrap this up, I just want to say that founders often think that AI kind of sits on the top of the stack, but in reality, it is not. It's actually right in the middle. Everything around the AI that you have is what actually determines, how your production is going to scale and what value you're going to actually deliver for your customers. So everything around AI is what actually works in production. That's pretty much it. I'd like to hand it over back to Cedric.
Thanks, Faith. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right. So here's where we want to flip the script a little bit. We've spent the last few minutes talking at you rather, and now we want to hear from you. What does your infrastructure actually look like, right? Not the pitch deck version, the real version of your infrastructure, because that's where Faizal and I do our best work, inside the messy real world systems that founders are actually living with. If what we've covered today sparks something for you, whether it's an advisory conversation or a technical audit, or you just want to stress test an architecture decision that you're sitting on, you can, as Bingham mentioned earlier, you can reach out to us. My email, and I'll send out this presentation, a follow-up email. My email is cedric@aiprojectpartners.com, or you can get Faizal@aiprojectpartners.com. But before we do that, before we go to the digital communication, we are ready for any Q&A that the group may have based on the stuff we've discussed today. So very much appreciate your time, and thank you. If there are any questions, let us know. Don't be shy.
Cedric, thank you and Faizal for the presentation. I think, yeah, thanks a lot for that. It was quite interesting to listen to. So on the data layer, can you speak a bit more to the kind of work and what you do in that layer? Because I think, most times, we're looking at the AI side, but you talked about data quality as well. And so I don't know how in-depth you guys go on that part of the process, like in terms of supporting organizations with their processes, like the whole data infrastructure. So since you guys are more AI, do you do anything around the data infrastructure, ensuring it's ready for the AI infrastructure? Thank you.
Yes, of course. So it could, that's very broad, of course, but just giving you an example of something that I fixed recently. We have a company that had a migration to Salesforce. They have 190,000 duplicates because for whatever reason, the company that helped them actually do that migration, they believe that in order for them to get the full list of it was specifically the contacts, the full list of contacts, the way that they wanted to get the contacts. They felt like they had to create 190,000 duplicates in order for that. So that's going to cause a data integrity issue. In that situation, we used AI to kind of like discover the problem. We connected via API. We discovered why the 190,000 were there, what they all had in common, and then put a process together to get rid of the duplicates, which immediately improved the user confidence, because the users, we all know the users don't like change. Just naturally, users don't like change. They already didn't have the confidence because they were comfortable in the previous system, and then they open up this other system and there's 190,000 duplicates there, right? So we actually used AI to go through and discover what was actually there, and then why they were there and what they all had in common, and did a, let's call it a smart cleanup of that 190,000 records. That same company also will be needing a, they don't have a data lake or in place right now, and they know that they're going to need that also. So at the front of this, we wanted to make sure between the accounting system and the CRM system that these things because the CRM said they had actually just migrated to NetSuite also and had similar problems, but it wasn't on the same scale as the Salesforce. Before we even start talking about standing up that data lake, that data warehouse for them, we needed to make sure that these other things were in place and ready to go. So using AI to accelerate the analysis, using AI to build tools that allow us to discover things. Like, for example, there was another company that we helped with a migration that had a bunch of duplicates. We needed to go past what the standard, I guess you could say, duplicate matching would be. Faiz and I actually built a tool that used the audit log for that company to actually help us make decisions around what was actually a duplicate and what the winning record should be, the surviving record should be, right? So we do that type of thing, right? Like whether it's stuff that we've done historically in more traditional ways, like tools that allow us to be able to do those things based on what's already built in the tool, or if we have to get fancy and build something in an accelerated fashion, whether it's using AI or, maybe Faiz has some code from somewhere that we can incorporate. Again, it's a broad answer because it's a broad subject in my mind. You have anything you want to add there, Faiz?
Yeah. So just to add to what Cedric said, like the process that we tend to usually follow is, you have your data. Let me talk about this migration itself. Like that, you have your data sources. This can be your CRM data, your ERP stuff, your database or anything, right? So we take these sources and we kind of push it into an ingestion pipeline. Now, this pipeline is kind of what cleanses your data or like matches your data to the systems that you need to put it into, right? Giving an example of a migration, right? And in this pipeline, you have things like your data validation, right? Are all of the fields that are necessary in that data, are they available, right? Is there any invalid or junk fields in there, right? Things like that, the data validation, like schema validation and things like that. And then in that pipeline, you have the next process, which we go through, like data cleansing. So this is where essentially, you remove duplicates and you fix corrupt records, and you kind of fix any kind of formatting values that have issues, right? And then the next one would be kind of like normalizing that data. For example, people might mention for United States as a code, some people put US and some people put USA, some people put U.S.U.S.A, right? And you need to kind of standardize that and normalize everything. So that's another process that you do. Then things like you look at kind of enriching your data. So is it missing any additional context, right? So for example, you have like data that's coming in with just an IP address, but you can enrich that data with like adding, enrichment to that, like which country does that IP address belong to? Like, is there an ISP that belongs to? Or you can kind of think about a scenario where you have a customer ID, right? And you can kind of enrich that data by adding in additional things like purchase history, your tickets, or something like that you want to link. So essentially that data enrichment. And you know, there are a lot more other things that you will do in this pipeline, and this also kind of feeds into the next layer, which is kind of the data governance part that you take care about, ensuring that, you know, all of the right controls are applied on the data. Like sometimes the data gets split up into different chunks, like some people have access to some part of that data, some people have access to other parts. And then you would ensure that all of this is kind of put in a single location. I mean, when I say single, there's of course redundancy, but then you put it in a place where everyone can access it, something like a data lake or a data warehouse. And then when you want to use this for AI, that's when you start moving this data and kind of vectorizing all of these inputs that you've got, like all of this data that you've standardized. Now then you start vectorizing it and indexing that data that you want to actually give it to the AI then for consumption. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it is. For me, like this, really is a different, but I think that I see resources are very similar place. So, from the data factory and the core, what we do at the baseline is data strategy assessment.
Sorry, Chibi, your voice is a little muffled. Am I the only one? Like, I couldn't exactly hear the question.
Okay.
No,
Can you hear me?
yeah.
Is it better?
Yeah, it's a bit better now. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. So I was just saying that I really like what you guys are doing, what you said, and I was saying I see room for collaboration because at the core of what I do as founder of Data Factory is building data strategy assessments for businesses. So that's the data infrastructure layer, right? So I like the sound of you guys are using AI already for some of the integrations, for the pipelines, vectorization and stuff, because that's the core of, you know, what I'm having to deal with day to day with businesses. So I'm saying that kudos, and definitely I'll reach out to see how we could probably do some work together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any additional questions?